Okay, so this will be a feedback slash critique for True Melon. This is TK Shazam. I'm just a nerd who likes Tekken and talking about it. I don't think I've given you feedback before. I am by no means a professional player. I just play a lot of Tekken, play a lot of Paul, watch a lot of Paul, yada yada yada. I'm just trying to give you some food for thought, right? With that being said, let's go into it. Uh, it's weird because you said this was your friend. I might be missing some weird level of layers you guys are on, right? Like whatever adaptations you guys have made from playing against each other for so long. So if there's something that I comment on that more so is like, oh, that's just like a weird thing that we do because we play each other for so long. Feel free to disregard it. Just it's what's something that I would not be privy to, right? So I'm not gonna fully know. So bear with me. Uh, let's keep on. Down three, if you block it, is launch punishable. I'm 90% sure. I can be 100 with a simple use of technology. Right. Yeah, it's minus 15 on block. Right. So you want to practice launching it. I don't understand what the wall standing one is for, right? I try not to comment or harp too much on matchup specific stuff, but there's a lot of matchup specific things that you kind of need to brush up on, right? You're losing out on a lot of damage, and especially when it comes to launch opportunities, right? So, yes. Right, so you block this. The combo will carry him to the wall. I think that wall explosion was used, but now you have wall pressure as Paul, right? And that will can snowball into the rest of the round. Without it, you're just stuck in a rough situation, right? You're fighting a losing battle. You get lucky with the Death Fist, which is fine. The call out down 4-2, which is fine. Right here, what did you press? Can I? I need to. What is this? What? Okay, it looks like you're just moving. He hits you. A little too blurry. Yeah, it just looks like you're moving. So okay, let's try to ask yourself why, right? If you land a charged forward 1+2, right? Even if it's blocked, you are +5 and the opponent is forced crouch. Why give up your turn like that? Why not put on pressure? What was the reasoning behind that? What has he done previously to make you give up your frame advantage like that, right? I think there is a level where you do sacrifice the frame advantage for a longer play down the line. I don't think this is the level, right? I think you need to take your frames and try to milk them, right? Try to create a frame trap, try to create pressure. So using a throw, or if you want a frame trap, just do down forward 2, right? I don't agree with sacrificing the pressure like that. I'm not sure what the reasoning was. Maybe you were respecting the heat smash, but heat smashes don't have armor, right? And there'll be a bit of lag to come out because you used a move that put him in force crouch, right? So your frame trap's gonna beat out the heat smash. There's not really that much stuff to be afraid of, so I'm not sure what was the reasoning behind that. And if it was just one time, it would suck, but it is what it is. But it feels like it's happened at least 2 or 3 times where you get a big frame advantage situation, but you don't capitalize on it, right? And you need to capitalize on those situations as Paul unless you have like a strong read on the opponent or something, right? He does this like 3 times, right? There are situations where you are familiar with some of Lee's stuff, like you duck some of the high strings, and I get it. Like if he doesn't finish it, it could be annoying to punish. You don't really have like a good. You are guessing if he finishes it or not, right? But when the potential reward of him finishing it is you ducking and launching it versus he does not finish it, you duck it, see that he didn't finish it, and just get back up to block, right? There's not that much risk you're taking. So you need to be more familiar and especially take advantage of his habits. He knows you're not ducking it, he's gonna finish the string, right? So punish him for that. Huge opportunity. Right? I'm not sure what the idea behind the throw is here, right? He hasn't shown any movement. He doesn't do a lot of sidestepping. He doesn't do a lot of like sidestep, right, duck or whatever lateral movement that would make you go, oh, I need to throw here. Maybe you're trying to do the command throw, which is understandable, but I think if you're gonna run up like that and he's not pressing buttons on wake up, just do a mid low mix, right? Forward 1+2 or back 4 or sidestep 3, stuff like that. Set up with the jab, right? Start setting up your offense. Poke him with the jab. Try to set up like a down forward 4 counter hit, right? I would do like a little poke and then down forward 4, right? Because if you land the down forward 4 counter hit right now and then do forward 2, you'll be in a very good position to just kill him, right? If not outright kill him on the counter hit, confirm. Well, actually, it does less damage now, I think. I have to check. Yeah, I have to double check what the damage threshold is. Maybe the damage is similar. Oh, that's whatever. This is also a recurring theme. Like, you are just backing off, right? Why are you backing off so much, right? I can understand a singular backdash, right? But the moment he whiffs in your face, I think that is an opportunity to attack. Yes, it is context dependent. If they whiff the first part of a string, you don't necessarily want to immediately start running in and rushing in because you might eat the rest of the string, right? But when you're backdashing, well, actually, you advance after. So I think you were expecting the string and did a second backdash just to see, but he backed off. That's fine, but also consider like if they whiff in front of you, just do a jab, right? Do a quick jab. That jab will hit. You can start offense that way, right? With that is even a small thing such as a jab that is a whiff punish, right? That is a big opportunity for you. Paul doesn't get a lot of crazy offense. You have to what's the word? Offset that with punishment, just strong punishment. The core circle for one was good. I like that. Oh, it's a minion. Oh, from the thumbnail, the color looked purple. I think it's the lighting on the stage, and I thought don't worry about it. I thought it was something else. I will assume that's some just operation on layers that I'm not familiar with. But the back forward to hop kick was certainly a choice. Let's break that down, right? I think look at all the buttons you're throwing out, and I'm not sure why. Okay. Again, it could be that you guys are just operating on a level that I'm not familiar with, which is understandable. But it's like he doesn't run at you too much. If he starts running at you, it's going to be while running 3+4, which should be pretty linear, but you got to practice stepping it, right? But you're without really making a read, you're just throwing out buttons and hoping that they connect, right? Like right here, right? But this is where you should be advancing and then using 1-2, using quarter circle forward 3, using empty roll dash, using deep dive 4, right? Those are your approach options. You want to do a lot of the lows because then they'll expect the lows as you do forward movement, and then you can just get in for free. Don't do a low, do a mid, do something. But just being so passive on in this neutral area, I don't think is good for you, right? It'd be different if you were able to bait out and then whiff punish a lot more than you are currently, but you're not, right? So you need to turn up the offense a little bit. When you're dealing with situations like this, quarter circle forward 3, back 4, deep dive 4, especially now because that thing has so much fucking range, right? They are your friends. When and where and how to use them, it's all case by case basis, right? But you need to start utilizing those tools more if you want to start figuring out where those case by cases are. You can launch off the ground. That's fine. Let's talk about back 3-3 for a second, right? This very annoying low that Lee has, right? You you have to treat it like any other unseeable low, right? You have to look at the opponent's timings. What are the ranges? What are the sequences that they do back 3? Do they run up and start doing back 3-3 immediately? Do they do jab into back 3-3? Do they do down forward 1 into back 3-3 like this, right? In the close range, there's no way for you to really see like what is he doing, how is he doing it, etc., etc., etc. You just have to hard call it out and go, I think he's going to go for the back 3-3 here. I'm going to duck and launch it. If he does the mid, he does the mid. It is what it is. But you need to start introducing some form of counterplay and unlocking that RPS situation. If an opponent does an option and you never present that you know the answer to that option and what to do about it, right? They don't have any reason to change, right? Yes, you put yourself at risk for eating a mid, but the trade-off is that you are putting yourself at less risk to just random back 3-3 spam, right? So now you're making the opponent second guess on using their unseeable low that leaves them in a very advantageous position on hit, and now they're doing mids, typically, which will not leave them in as good of a position, right? Sometimes even punishable, right? It gives you more offensive opportunities once you start introducing, defensive counterplay and making your opponent go, oh shit, I have to think about my offense. Big counter hit. Nice. Unfortunate. Uh, okay, again, so why are we so hesitant on Oki, right? In this position, there's nothing he can do that will really be scary, right? Here, it should have been an immediate down back 2, right? Or back 4 if you really wanted to. Make him guess between the mid and the low. Throw is also okay. Get up kicks you don't have to worry about. When they're in that position, which is face up, feet away, right? If they do a get up kick, it'll be slower than the usual get up kick, right? You don't have to worry about that interruption as much. But because you chose to wait and delay it and let him get up safely, now he just gets to start running his offense, and you're putting on a lot of pressure. I really like the pressure sequences you're doing here, right? I will maybe not the raw death fist. I don't dislike it. I don't hate it, right? But I'm kind of whatever. But I get it. I do the same thing. I don't think it's the best thing you could have done because now the opponent, if you wanted to, has all this room to work with, and if he starts sidestepping, you have to dash in to try and restrict his movement, which is just not a fun place to be. Right, this I love all this, right? Cores over 3, mixing him up, taking advantage of his passive defensive style, right? If you're playing against a random online Lee, I understand that, like, yeah, you want to be hesitant because you don't know how they react on defense. But this Lee, you fought plenty of times by now, and at least you've had at least one round to discern that, oh, on defense, this guy is pretty passive. I can be a little bit more aggro on my offense and take advantage of that, right? Like you saw here. This whole sequence would not work if he mashed a lot more, right? It's relying a lot on mental frame advantage, but because that's what Paul can do, right? That's all he can do. You have to quickly discern what type of defensive reactions the opponent presents, and then do your responses accordingly. Against this Lee, they're very passive on defense. So that's when you go, cool, you're very passive. I'm just going to start, doing lows, mixing up my timings a lot, etc., etc. A lot of quote unquote fake shit, right? Yes, it's fake. But the reason it's real, quote unquote, in this situation is the opponent is not challenging you, right? That is the cornerstone of Paul and figuring out how to do offense with him. You quickly figure out what can you get away with, right? And then just start doing it, right? Let's keep going. The heat burst. This is a thing you're gonna have to expect. We've had, oh my god, we're like 6 months in, right? Oh my god, it's already halfway through the year. Where does the time go? We are now like 5 months into Tekken 8's lifespan, and the change to heat burst was pretty drastic. I'm not here to discuss whether or not it should have been done or should not have been done. I'm not here. That's a convo I don't give a shit about, right? What I'm trying to elaborate on is a lot of players are still trained to use heat burst as a defensive option, right? And to be fair, I think it is a pretty decent defensive option, right? It's a very fast power crush that leaves you plus on block, I think. Nah, I'll double check that later, right? But right, they autopilot it a little too much because we're so used to just that free get out of jail free card, right? So now you have to incorporate that into your game plan, right? It's like, okay, players are still utilizing that as a get out of jail free card. I'm going to run in and then immediately sidestep to bait out the heat burst, right? Now, and then when it's very linear, because it's very linear, you just launch it, right? That is the goal for dealing with an opponent when you know, okay, what resources do they still have? They have not activated heat yet, so they still have heat burst, and I think they're in rage. So if I run at them and then sidestep, the forward movement of the dash is going to be enough to elicit a heat burst response, and then the sidestep will as long as you do it preemptively, it should be fine, right? Can't do it on reaction because heat bursts are still unreactable, but you can bait it out, right? That is the goal. It's going to be the new meta until people figure out how to not knee-jerk heat burst at the slightest response to anything. So I noticed you do that a few times, right? You cancel the heat burst, and I'm not sure why. Not sure what the reasoning is behind that. In a situation where the opponent's super close to you and you're low on life, right? Even canceling it, it's not going to protect you from the sidestep, right? I don't know what the reasoning is behind that. I'm not going to harp on this too much. I think if they're close and they're running at you, you just got to let it rip. If you die, you die, right? But canceling it like that is just going to open you up to worse situations. Because if you didn't cancel it, he would not have enough time to react with the down 3, right? You do it, he does the down forward 1, and because you canceled it for some reason, he doesn't, he just does it down 3 and kills you. So, not a fun place to be. Let's just keep going. You had the right idea. You baited out a response from the opponent, but this is where we have to talk about positioning, right? Why the core circle forward 1 here? What was your game plan, right? I'm not gonna talk about this too much. These all should have been core circle forward 3, right? You have to be careful on the approach because Lee has back 4, which is one of the best keep out moves in the game, right? But he's not really doing it that much. He does it a few times and he does some call out moves, but he's not doing a bunch of back 4 into hitman cancels and all that other jazz, right? You need to take advantage of that and Against this Lee, you have a pretty decent, easy time approaching. I like a good punish on the while standing 2-3 or whatever it's called. Right. Nice, more. So I was gonna talk about this later, but let's talk about it right now. All right. You sacrifice a lot of momentum on the quarter circle 4-3 connecting when you don't need to, right? Why is that? Yes, it's neutral on hit, but here's the thing: that thing hits from range 3, right? Just because it's neutral does not mean you can be a little bit cheeky on your offense. Neither player has advantage here, right? If you hit it from a farther range and the opponent still has to approach you in order to get their offense started, consider, after quarter circle 4-3 lands, throwing out a jab to disrupt their approach, right? If you're super close, I would still go with the jab just to test the waters and see what type of move they're using, right? If they're using a slow move, they'll get hit out of it, and boom, you have free frames, right? If they're using a fast move, I mean, I don't know what Lee has that'd be faster than his own jab, but, you know, it gives you information to work with. You don't risk much. You need to get more comfortable utilizing jabs in your offense, in your defense, right? Offensively, if you hit like tip range quarter circle 4-3 and they start running at you, just jab them, right? If you hit tip range or close range quarter circle 4-3, but they just like this lead passively block, just jab them, and now you're +1, and you can try and start some stuff, right? But yeah, just a lot more one jabs. Tis a high, duck it. Nice, good punish. Yeah, that's tough. I think you're at the layer, right? So layer 1, yeah, you just do the back to 1 mix-ups, right? But this Lee is familiar with it. He knows what to do on the disruption. He's ready for it. So now you have to go to that next level, right? What is the layer 2 here? I like just finishing the back 2, let them get up because they're already holding back to quick rise, and then running up into a mix-up, right? Or, if they're doing a lot of jabs, they'll autopilot it, and then you just whiff punish them with a down 4-2, quarter circle back 4, whatever, or quarter circle back 1+2, whatever you want, right? But long story short is, your opponent is clearly at the level and familiar with the Oki situation there. You need to introduce a new option and make them start second guessing, right? If they start autopiloting the get up, right? Your back 2-1, your back 2 will just spike them down, they'll get up, and then they'll have to eat a mix-up, which will make them second guess, like, oh shit, do I just stay on the ground? Do I not press, right? Because now, right, the main thing is you want to restrict them from mashing. So doing the back 2, letting them get up, and then whiff punishing or counter hitting their jab, right? That is the goal. And then once you start doing that, then you can go back to using back 2-1 on Oki, because they'll still quickly get up, but because they were mixed up beforehand, they're less likely to immediately jab, right? Some people might have fast reactions and are able to quickly discern, like, oh, he just did back 2, oh, he's doing back 2-1, right? But for the most part, people are going to be thinking of a lot of things, and their mental stack is going to be under a lot of pressure. This is what we talked about earlier, right? You ran in, he had heat burst, he was going to use it, he wasn't going to die to Death Fist. And because you weren't baiting it out, right, it ended up destroying you in the process. Good punish. You do down back 4 a lot. Is that supposed to be back 4? Is that like an input error? I'm not sure, but I think you can do like a stronger mid-low option there. Okay, what is the reasoning behind the random down forward 2 there, right? What was the information that you received throughout this set that made you go, yes, if I do down forward 2 in this context, in this situation, he's going to run into it, right? He hasn't run into your stuff throughout these 3 rounds you played. In the other 6 games, from what it looks like that you guys played, I'm not sure either, but it just doesn't look like he's going to run into stuff, right? He's not that type of player. So you have to remember that when you press a button that is for dealing with people who run in, right? And then you're facing a person who does not run in, you go, yeah, I should not be pressing my keep out tool. I could just block and then wait for him to approach, right? You either wait to see movement from the Lee, right? Or you just block, and if he doesn't try to approach you, then you approach. Oh, jeez. I think you do well here. Nice. Good punish? Ah, nice. Ah, unfortunate. You're trying to set something up. Ah, that was sick. That was funny. Right. Nice. Good with punish. Unfortunate combo drops, but it is what it is. Yeah, and this is what we're talking about with the knowledge checks, right? Like, he is just doing this and then destroying you. If you want to counter it, I think you have to duck, right? Like, preemptively. Like, you can't just block it and duck like this. But this is why we have replay takeover. I'm doing this video like way late, so you probably don't even have the replay anymore. If you do, use the replay takeover. If you don't, next time you fight a lead that does that on you, save it and then figure out like how to counteract that option, right? I do not have time for the rest of this. Alright, neutral, punishment / matchup knowledge, combo / Oki, personal opinion stuff. Neutral. I think the foundation you have is solid, right? I don't think you're doing a lot of gimmicky shit. You're not doing a lot of 3-2 strings while setting 3-2. You're not gimmicky, which is good. What's bad, right, is that you're too passive in the neutral. You are not actively influencing your opponent's decision making. I should see a lot more jabs. I should see a lot more quarter circle forward 3, sidestep 3, some form of low, right? To start racking up chip damage against a more passive opponent like this, right? I just don't see the level of offense necessary to condition him, right? You're very passive, and I get it. Like, Paul is not steamrolling people on offense, but that's why you need to poke, right? If you're going to throw out a bunch of mids, how are they going to land? You have to do a bunch of lows and highs to encourage them to duck, right? Then your mids can work. And then vice versa. If this lead was flash ducking all over the place, right? If he was just, man, I'm just ducking every single thing. I refuse to stand block, right? That's when the mids come in, right? Pretty straightforward. If you get frame advantage off something like charged forward 1+2, you need to capitalize on it, right? At least a little bit, and let him know that, hey, you can't be pressing for free here, right? You need to take advantage of the of like plus frames when you get them as Paul. Or you need to be formulating a read based on the information you have from your opponent. If you just let go, right, it's not going to feel good. There's probably a bit more, but I think that's enough for now. Punishment / matchup knowledge, right? We talked about it. You're letting a lot of shit go away, and you're getting knowledge checked. Work on it. That's the best I can. There's not really much else to say here. Unfortunately, you picked Paul at the character select screen in order to play Paul against stronger opponents. You need intimate knowledge of the character matchup. Arguably, sometimes more than the player themselves, right? Some characters are just autopiloted. It is what it is. The trade-off, right, is that you quickly shred, you destroy people with just basic punishment knowledge, right? Once you realize something is a launch, and that's like a core part of someone's offense, right, you demolish them, and they don't know what to do. In order to capitalize and create opportunities as Paul, you need defense. You need matchup knowledge. You're not your hammer of the gods is good. I love the buff, right? But it is nowhere near like a Lee back four or a Lee while running 3+4 or whatever else, right? You're not gonna get this free flow offense. So where are your how do you win? How do you get offensive opportunities, right? You gotta use defense. Combo slash okay. I thought your combos were fine. I think there were some unfortunate drops, and there's not really much else to say there besides, tighten up that execution. Oki, I think you need to experiment more with being more aggressive. Be aggressive, right? If your opponent is not pressing buttons on wake up, make them remember why they need to do that sometimes, right? Run up and mix them up, right? Do a mid, do a low. Do a mid or low, I mean. Or if they stay on the ground, start doing lows and doing your ground hitting options, right? Like give you got the knockdown or you got a combo, right? Maximize it. Maybe it comes up in the later rounds. I haven't watched like the full set. I really just want to focus on that first match, but yeah, it is what it is. Personal opinion stuff. I really talked about it. I think you just need to utilize more jabs, more course forward three, more side step three. Just any of your lows, anything. I need to see more poking. I need to see more chip damage, because otherwise, if you just let the opponent run around, even when you get an opportunity, like you get a nice counter hit launch, it's not going to matter as much because all of those missed quarter circle forward threes and side step threes and deep dive fours you could have gotten, right? That's 18, 17, 18 damage here and there. And that shit adds up. If you just land two lows, that's 30 damage. That's one less punish you need to make, right? That's like half a combo, and it will make your life easier. Right? You can't just rely on combo damage as your output to win the game. You need to also consider poking. There are times where you do it, right? Like you did like the quarter circle forward three, down forward one, sidestep cancel, sidestep three. And you have those offensive sequences, and I need to see more of that, and you need to just get more comfortable with figuring out how to do that at more stages throughout the game. Because there are definitely moments where you could have done that more often than just at the wall, right? That's about it. If you have any questions, let me know. We're always in the Discord. Have a good one.